Hello, I'm Paul Stryer, and welcome to this POV video nugget. In previous videos, I explained how to register for POVs and certifications, as well as how to prep the kit for the start of a POV. In this video, I'm going to take you on a tour of some of the features in the Cisco vManager that are used for monitoring and basic troubleshooting of the SD-WAN network. We will look at everything from how to set geolocations, how to use ping, how to use traceroute, confirming which tunnels are up, and simulating flows based on DSCP values. So let's skip the boring small talk and get right into the lab. The very first basic monitoring tool that we're going to look at in this video will be the geolocation section of vManage. The geography tab maps out the devices on the map based on the latitude and longitude coordinates entered into the device configuration. From the main dashboard, I'm going to open up the menu so you can see it. Then I'm going to go to Monitor and Geography. From here you can see a map of the world, and you can see that we have some devices already in the system, and we got those by attaching our templates to our config files earlier in the lab. As you can see, I clicked on the green symbol over North Carolina and it zoomed in, and we see there are two devices in the RTP campus. If I click on one of the two device symbols, it'll bring up a pop-up window with information about that device. Some of the things I can do is click on the links at the bottom, such as SSHing to the device, and you can see it changes my menu options on the left and takes me to the SSH login for that particular device. As you can see, I'm logging in with my default credentials of admin, and you can see that I am now logged into the device. From there I can run any commands that I normally would run in CLI, such as show run. Also, I don't have to use the CLI to SSH. I could have also used a third-party product such as PuTTY to also SSH to the same exact device. This just shows the versatility of the CLI and that there are many different ways to perform the same function. If we go back to the Geography tab by going to Monitor Geography, let's take a look at more functions that we can do within the map. So if I click on another one of the devices, such as this one that's in the middle of the ocean, you can see that there are more devices out there. If I click on them, I get the same information pop up as I did on the one in RTP, but if I use the minus sign in the upper right hand corner or the plus sign, it backs me out or zooms in and zooms out of the map so you can get back to seeing the whole world as opposed to one section of the world. So let's take a look at how we can move these icons to represent the addresses of our customers' network devices. For the POVs, we provide you with CSV files that are specific for each kit in the POV, and you download those files during exercise 0 of the POV. It's within those POV files that we set customer-specific settings for the devices. So as you can see here, I'm an Explorer, and I have all the files for kit number 1. I'm going to right-click on the very first one, and I'm going to open it with Excel. Now, a little word of warning. If you're using a Macintosh or you're using a non-US keyboard, you might want to open this in a text editor and not Excel, because Excel will change the commas to semicolons, and also foreign keyboards, non-US keyboards, will also make changes that will change the file where vManage will not understand the file. So after I show how to set these things in Excel, I will show you how to set them in a text editor as well, so you have both versions in the video. The first thing we're going to want to do when it opens in Excel is expand the columns. So to do that, we're going to right click in the upper left corner so that we highlight the entire spreadsheet, and then we're going to double click on one of the lines of the columns, like between the A and the B, and when you double click on that, notice that it opens all of the columns to the full size so you can read everything that's in each column. If we scroll all the way to the right, the third and fourth from the right side end, I think, is the geolocations. And as you can see here, you can see that we have two devices because this is the Site 1. And we're going to see that there are two devices in here for the latitude and the longitude. So now I'm going to change the latitude, and I'm going to make it the same latitude for both devices because they're both in the same location. Now that I've pasted in the new latitude, now I'm going to go ahead and paste in new longitudes for both devices. With Excel, you want to do a save as. You don't want to hit the save button or just do a save, because Excel, when you do a save, will change some of the delimiters. For those of you that have not used latitudes and longitudes before, let me show you how I found the latitude and longitude for addresses so you can do this for your customers. There are many pages on the web that will help you do this. I chose to use www.latlong.net, but there are many that you can use. As you can see here, I'm at their website, I'm typing in the address, and I just hit find, and it will give me the latitude and longitude. And we can also look on the map when we're done and make sure that it is actually the right place. As you can see, the latitude and longitude that it gave us was the one that we put in the spreadsheet for the two devices. And if you zoom in on the map, you will notice that the address I put in is Building 13 for Cisco in San Jose. So now let's go back to our spreadsheet and compare our addresses that we put in. So with that being said, we're going to do a file save as, make sure that it's being saved as comma delimited, and then hit save. Let's edit another file for site number 2, but let's do it in a text editor so we can see the difference between using Excel and a text editor. I prefer Notepad++, but you can use any text editor you prefer to use. What you will notice when you open it in a text editor is that you will have all the same file information. It'll just be in one long string instead of separated into columns such as Excel. If I scroll to the right, you'll see that like the third and fourth from the right end will be our latitude and our longitude, just like we saw in the Excel spreadsheet. So next I'm going to paste in our latitude and our longitude into this text editor version of the CSV file. And with most text editors, you should not have to worry about the save. You should just do a regular save and it should save it in the appropriate format. For the sake of time, I'm going to stop the video, edit the next 3 files, and then restart the video after that. In previous videos, we attached the config files to the templates in vManage. We need to go back and update those configs for all 6 devices so that they get the new geolocation that are in the CSV files that we just edited. So returning to the navigation menu, I'm going to go to Configuration and Templates. Now that I'm back in the template section, I'm going to go to the top one, which is Site 1. I'm going to go to the far right and click on the More Action button, and I'm going to click Change Device Values. Once we get to the configuration template page for Site 1, I will click on the up arrow in the upper right corner. In the pop-up window, I will click Browse, and I will search for the file that we just edited in the text editor or Excel and open that file. Once the file is populated into the pop-up window, I will click Upload, and then I will click Next on the main screen. On this screen, I could click Configure Devices, or if I want to check the configs, I can click on one of the two devices in the middle here, and once I do that, I'll see the running config, and I can look at the latitude and longitude or any other settings in the running config that I want to see. I can also click on the second device in the center and also check that running config. Once I'm done checking the configs, I can click Configure Device. Now I don't have to check those configs. I could have just clicked the Configure Devices button in the lower center of the page. But if you do want to check it, you have that option. So when I click Configure Devices, because there's more than one device, there's a pop-up warning window that will let me know that I'm going to configure 2 devices. And then we are in the status window waiting for it to finish configuring the device. I can click the refresh button until it updates, but the screen will update itself if you're patient. For the sake of time, I will pause the video, update the next 4 templates, and resume the video after the templates have been updated. Now that I'm done updating the templates, let's go ahead and go back to Monitor and Geography and see where our devices are on the map. As you can see, all the devices have moved and we no longer have devices that are out in the middle of the ocean. If I click on one of them, I can zoom in and see where that device is, or use the pop-up box to use the links to get to SSH and other devices. If I use the plus sign or use my mouse to scroll in, you can see that this particular site has now moved to Jamaica. And this is actually at one of my favorite bars in Jamaica, a place called Rick's Place on the Negril side of Jamaica. Since Rick's Place in Jamaica is one of my favorite bars, and one of my favorite movies is Casablanca, I also added in a site at Rick's Place in Casablanca. So if we scroll across the pond here and look at the devices we have over here and we zoom in, we will notice that we have 2 devices at Rick's Place in Casablanca. And of course, you're probably not going to be using your favorite places, but you will be using the addresses of your customer site to put into the geography section of vManage. So now let's move on to the Monitoring Networks menu option in the vManage and see what we can find in here. When we first come into Monitor Networks, we see all of our devices and we see a lot of really good information about our devices and their status. Let's take a look at this window. The first column is an easy one. That's our host name for each one of our devices. The next one is our status, and the status indicates that the edge device is connected to the vManage. And we see here that all of ours are connected with green check marks. The next one is the system IP. The system IP is similar to the router ID in a Cisco router. Reachability indicates that the vManage can connect to the vEdges. The site ID is similar to the AS number, so it's used for routing and policies. Device model gives us the model of the vEdge that we are using. BFD is the total number of IPsec tunnels that are operational. Control is the total number of control devices seen by the edge. And of course, the version is the